Hey everybody, Mike Naso here from Internet Partnership Radio with the latest on the tropics, and we do still have Tropical Storm Danny, which has gotten a little stronger over the past few hours. There's the satellite imagery of the Atlantic Basin, and you can see we have a few features out there. First and foremost is Tropical Storm Danny sitting right about there in the western Atlantic. It's jaunted a little off to the west, and it is expected to eventually curve like that, but whether or not it gets a little bit further west and actually makes landfall or stays offshore is still as of yet unknown. You could also see off Africa we've had a tropical wave that the models really weren't picking up on well, but it is showing some signs of organization as a new invest. And the general thinking with this wave is that it's going to continue generally off towards the west like that, at least over the next few days. Whether or not down the road it begins to turn more north, or if it continues west, that's too far out. Right now it does not appear as though this one's going to turn right up and out, so we're going to have to watch it very carefully. Here's latest on Tropical Storm Danny as of 11 a.m. Eastern Time. It was at 27.5 north, 73.1 west. Winds were 60 miles per hour, gusting to 70. So despite it being disorganized, it is getting a little bit closer than it was to hurricane strength. It's moving northwest at 12, but as mentioned, it has kind of jaunted a little bit further west, 1,006 millibars. It is expected to turn northwest, then north, and then become a hurricane Saturday morning, and then fly on out of here into Nova Scotia and over Newfoundland, and by early next week be out. But there is that cone of uncertainty as to whether or not it moves far enough west to actually make landfall on the Outer Banks and perhaps Cape Cod or Maine, or if it stays far enough out to not impact land at all. That really is the question right now. The wind field with Danny, you could see, does have those tropical storm force winds mainly to the north and east of the center. It is pretty lopsided, but still that is a good portion of area being covered by tropical storm force conditions at this time. Now the morning visible satellite imagery does show that movement on off towards the west, and the center of the tropical storm is right in here, and again it really, looking at the satellite imagery, is lopsided. Again, the center of the storm continues to be right in this area here, and if it continues in this direction over the next few hours, it would increase the threat to the United States, because by the time it turns, it might be close enough to warrant a potential landfall. So we're going to have to watch this very carefully. Again, most of the bad weather is on the eastern side. Here's the model guidance with the track forecast, and again, the track forecast is going right in the middle of the guidance there, but a lot of models do show this heading on off towards the Outer Banks and then eventually towards Long Island, perhaps Cape Cod, Maine. So all this guidance in the blue here, this western guidance, is very troubling for potential landfall, because even if it's only a 75-mile-an-hour hurricane, if it took the no-gaps track, you're talking about battering the Outer Banks as a strengthening hurricane and then slamming into New England as a hurricane, and it might be large and drawn out and very nasty by the time it does so, although not a powerful hurricane. The current motion again is towards the northwest, which would take it right towards South Carolina, but it has jogged west. So you have to take every little jog into account, because if it jogs west and then continues its northwest trajectory and then turns, we could be talking about a potential threat here along the mid-Atlantic states. So again, it is a threat for land masses on the East Coast and needs to be watched very carefully. The latest wind shear profile, you can see the Caribbean. There's a low wind shear over the Caribbean here, but over the Gulf of Mexico we have these very strong 40-50 knot wind shear going right into the circulation of Danny. But note right here this little safe harbor it's got right in this area here, this 10 knots of wind shear. This is a bit more favorable, so if it continues further west, it's going to be over warmer water, under better conditions. So actually, the closer it gets to land, the stronger it might get. If it remains out here, it's going to have strong wind shear. Now what's going to happen, though, is as time goes by, eventually this system's going to get kicked out. We're going to have this flow coming in like this, and it's going to push Danny, which is right in this area here, it's going to push Danny up and out. And as that happens, it's going to be moving in the same direction as the wind shear. And as we saw with Hurricane Charlie down here in southwest Florida, and we've seen with many hurricanes in the past, as a trough comes in like this, it almost enhances the storm. It helps, vent the hurricane, sucking out the outflow and helping to spin it up. And so Danny could actually be in a better environment once that trough comes in than it will be at any time before that. But nevertheless, you can see it is a bursting 60-mile-an-hour tropical storm, so it is a force that we're going to have to deal with. The rest of the Atlantic, as far as in this image, is quiet, but we do have this tropical wave that left Africa about 2 days ago, day and a half, 2 days ago, and the models really weren't showing much with it. Maybe a little something that go right off in the North Atlantic or nothing at all, but it's maintained itself pretty well, and it is late August. And this wave is now an Invest 94L, and the model guidance, the current motion is actually a little to the west-southwest. It has lost latitude, and the more latitude it loses, the worse for land masses further west down the road, because if it gets way down far south here towards 10 north and then tries to come back, it'd be close enough to land to, even if it made that sharp curve like Hurricane Bill did a few weeks ago, it could come close enough to land. But this one is not expected to curve far north. It is expected to continue to the west and then even get pushed further west with a rebuilding ridge. So the thinking right now is, at least through 5 days, that whatever comes of this system will continue off to the west and then further west. So whether or not it actually impacts the Caribbean, what is it by then? Well, to be truthful, the model guidance does show this becoming a potent hurricane. And here's the satellite imagery, and you can see the system has continued to come off of Africa, and there it is right there, and has lost that latitude. And it should move west from here on out and then continue in that direction. And so looking at that from a satellite perspective, there does appear to be a little bit of a twist with it. So could this be Erica? It could very well be Erica on the way as this continues off towards the west. It is August. There is some dry air. You can see these stable clouds out here, kind of these high clouds out here in the areas in the eastern Atlantic to the north of the system. But down here it's very moist, and if it is able to maintain itself for the next 24 hours, it could be a depression or a tropical storm. And as the model guidance shows, this one, the models do make it a almost 100-mile-an-hour hurricane approaching the islands in about 5 days. So this could be a force to be reckoned with if it develops, but we'll keep an eye on it. In the eastern Pacific, there is the area coming on screen here that we were watching in the southwest Caribbean. This could be a system. This appears to be a developing depression. Ignacio's gone. It's a remnant low way up here. You can't even tell that it once was a strengthening tropical storm. But this is our new feature, as well as this one. The two next names on the list are Jimena and Kevin, and we'll wait and see where those two systems develop. And finally, in the eastern Pacific, we do have Tropical Depression Hilda sitting here, expected to continue to move on off towards the west and kind of like that, and not strengthen back to a tropical storm if it does remain weak. And you could, if I didn't tell you there was a depression there, you probably never would have known that this is anything more than just a batch of showers and thunderstorms, because more or less, that's what it is. But that'll do it this time for the tropics. I'm Mike Naso. I'll see you next time.